Hey, good morning. Welcome to the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. Hope you're doing well. I think I say that a lot, but I really do hope everyone's doing well, at least better than me sometimes. So I hope maybe I wish everyone else well, then I'll feel better too. So I had a lot of ideas that came up. I was listening to a podcast. I'm going to talk about that next week. And on yesterday, I feel bad because I didn't do the Jira community flow thing on the Metrics Monday. I gotta get better at that. I made a promise, so I'm gonna make sure. I didn't think I was ready for it. I didn't prep enough over the weekend because other things came up. So I'm definitely gonna prep for it this week and do it on Monday coming up. So I will show how to make that metric. Today I want to talk about 10x your positiveness, right? Are you feeling like sometimes you don't get enough positive feedback, or everyone's in a negative mood, or they don't want to do something? So my question is, are you putting out the positive feedback out there in order to reap what you sow? So if you send out negative thoughts, problems, this issue, why isn't this working, negative, 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 all you're going to get back is negative. Okay. And the reason why I thought about this, there was an article I shared the other day from Esther Darby. He talked about fear. And I was going to say, I sent it out to one manager, maybe two, but I didn't send it to the managers I coach. And the reason being, I wasn't sure if they were capable of accepting the information, not as a criticism, but as something to be observant for with the people they work for or themselves, and be self-observant. And then I realized I haven't set them up for success. I haven't sent out enough positive stuff out there on observations of what's going on to allow that to happen. So that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today, because we do need to coach up. And how do we coach up, and what do we got to do, and what do we got to be careful of, but also the positiveness. And I'll talk a couple of things about that. And then I got another thing next week about 10xing. I was listening to Ed Milet's show, and I'll share that next week on next Tuesday's 10x episode. So today, it's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach, and I hope you're doing well today. And we do this so we can bring value to the customer, not work crazy hours, which goes to the 10x thing, which we'll talk more about later, and have a little fun along the way. And having fun. The being positive is, I think, more fun than negative. I mean, some people think they can take joy, I guess, out of being negative and taking people down. I guess they can feel positive about it, but I don't. And it kind of goes back to one of the things I was reflecting on this morning was the show I talked about the other day about, congratulating people for getting a certification, making connections. I like to go out there, see who's getting certification, who's getting new jobs, and say, great job. You know why? Because it gets me on I want to help them out, right? I want them the positive feedback, but it also gets me going, where if I'm helping 15 people or saying good job to 15 people, maybe one of those 15 will come back and say, good job, Greg, and it said positive feedback. But if I said, oh, I already got that cert. I got that cert 5 years ago. Oh yeah, big deal. You got that cert. Which one's the positive one? Which one would be positive one for the group, right? So you want to be in that positive attitude so that you yourself in your career gets positiveness out there. So when someone else starts a business, like I'm trying to start a couple businesses and get this business off the ground, that's nothing. Or to say, you know what, that's really good. Maybe I can learn something from you, right? And give them the positive. Hey, that's a great job. I admire you for doing that. That is a whole different way of thinking. And when you start thinking this way, you're going to 10x your life. Okay. You're going to get 2 for 1, right? So if I were to say positive other people, you're going to get twice as much positive back. Okay. When we go into, and this is where the Esther Darby's article comes from. And I shared that on LinkedIn the other day. And she was talking about fear and all these things, these fear items that influence why people do what they do in a team, new capability for change. It was a really good article. But If the team or the managers or people are not ready to understand where you're coming from in the article, you can't just throw this article out there. You have to be mindful of how you set stuff up. You have to be, it's something to be openness, aware to what's going on around you. You have to covet it with stuff, right? A positive. You have to set up the positive so that it's just like, here's an article and they talk about fear. Everyone who reads that article, if I were to just send that article to them plainly, would probably think I'm criticizing them. So you have to be very mindful of how you do it. Now, the other thing is, if I'm out there doing positive stuff, right, most of the time, and let's say I did screw up and I sent this article to people and then they think it's a criticism. Let me ask you a question. If most of the time as a coach or a scrum master or a product owner or whoever or a teammate, I'm out there being positive, thinking, good job, whatever it is. And then the one time I mess up, are they going to go right to the negative and says, Greg is usually very positive. Why is he sending me this article that kind of has a negative connotation to it? Talks about the negative of stuff. Why is Greg doing that? Right. So they don't go right to the negative. They go, Greg's usually more positive about that. He's more complimentary on what we're doing and all. Why is Greg sending this? So when I mess up, it's not as detrimental to the team because I will mess up. So what I try to be, and I have gotten feedback on that, and people say, they worry about Greg, you're normally more positive. Why are you in a negative? And they start worrying about me, to be honest with you. They're like, why are you in a negative mood? That my kids think I'm a negative Nelly all the time. But I'm being a father versus a friend, right? It's a different thing. Anyway, but why, they worry about me when I do that. So it's a good thing because it shows that I am more positive about what I'm conveying to my team. So when you're doing this stuff, and this is why I'm trying to make this a habit of going out there every day, looking for people who got new certs, new jobs, and saying, congratulations, good job. Good to meet you. If you ever want to chat, whatever. But I do that, one, to help them out because it's positive, right? Like I said, the other, making connections or being positive and friendly with people, it's gonna pay back. But that's not why I do it. It's because I want to put out the positiveness so I get positive feedback back too. I just looking for that positivity, even if it just gets me in a good mood. So now think about it. If something goes wrong, right? Is it an opportunity? Switching from a negative to an opportunity. Let's say you have a bug. Something as simple as that. It may not apply to everything and people aren't in the coding, but you have a bug. Is the bug a bad thing or is the bug an opportunity to learn from, to grow from? Wow, we got that bug. What was interesting about that bug, right? So listen to the words I just said. What was interesting about that bug? What made it different than what we normally see? Is that going, oh, we had a bug, you did bad, but what was interesting about that bug? What was different about that bug? And it's a different thought process, right? It's a more positive. Can we grow from that bug? Now you have to be careful too, because in a sensitive world out there, if you say, what can we learn from the bug? It's still that learning as we screwed up, what we learn from it, unless they're prepared for that. Why you're asking those learning questions. But is there an opportunity? Say, what was interesting about that bug? What was fascinating about it? What was different than normal, right? That made it a unique event that created a bug, right? And that's a more positive way of asking the question without getting into the negative. So I wanted to share that with you about being more positive. One, congratulating people when they do well. Be more positive. Hey, good job, everything like that. Thank them for what they're doing. Versus just getting on why'd you screw up, right? And I being the more positive when you introduce stuff like an agile coach. Start off on the positive. like, oh wow, you're all doing well. We changed this up. You're adapting to it pretty quickly, right? You're really thinking about it. And I'm going to say sometimes it's maybe not, maybe it's true, maybe some people on the team are, and maybe some people are not. But even if you say it and one person is doing it, helps the rest of the team go, oh, okay, well, maybe we are doing it. We can do this, right? Now it's just we can do this. We can change. We can improve. So now you're going from that negative thought process into a positive. What are the opportunities out there for us to grow and learn? So I wanted to share that with you. There was a lot of things going on, a lot of positive thoughts. And next week I should be good. I actually want to buy a book based on a podcast I just heard from Ed Milet's show about 10Xing. So I kind of want to go ahead and buy the guy's book. I really liked what they had to say, and it was a good way of thinking about it. But I didn't want to confuse that with what my original one was, with what Esther Darby put out there, the fear. And as a coach, you have to be mindful what you're putting out there, that will it create a negative feedback loop? How can I position it into a positive? How can I position it so it's positively received? Am I putting enough positive stuff out there so if I mess up, which I do a lot, it can be, wait a minute, why did Greg say that? He normally doesn't do that. What is he doing? Because maybe I'm thinking in my brain 5 steps ahead, but I forgot the 5 steps to get to where I'm thinking. Like I'm thinking 5 steps above, but I forgot to do the 5 steps to get there. So, but if I have the positive attitude, I'm always doing the positive thing, people will wonder, well, why is Greg sharing that negative piece of feedback? Or I could interpret his feedback, but he's normally not negative about the feedback, normally positive. So what are the 5 steps that Greg forgot to share with the team or the person, right? So try to be more positive. Put that positivity out there. And again, for your own personal career, if you're not positive with other people, why should your boss be positive about you and your feedback? I know the end of the year's coming and people are going to start doing reviews and stuff like that. December is coming along. If you're not putting positive stuff out to the team, to people in general, to even your bosses, not to kiss ass, right? You're not doing that. But hey, I appreciate that feedback. I appreciate what you did. That was interesting. I wish we could do more of that and more of that sharing what's coming down from above. If you're not doing that, how can you expect somebody else to give you a positive rating in your career? Right? If you're not giving positive out to your coworkers and to your bosses and people below you, how can you justify them giving you positive, right? So be 10x on the positive side so others come back to be positive as well. Think about it. Can't be all negative. Look at the opportunities where something failed, like a bug. Interesting. What was interesting about that bug? What was fascinating? What was different, right? Not that, oh, we gotta improve. Why did we get the bug, right? And why did we get the bug? That's a negative phrasing right there, right? So you want to be positive. So what was interesting about that bug? What was fascinating by why it happened, right? And be curious of the process to get to that point, right? And dive into the positivity. Oh, I can learn about the process. I can take this bug and learn how the system works. I could document better how the system works. That's even good. Maybe I should use that on one of my daily Scrum introduction coaching sessions. So how can I use this bug to learn about the system, right? So now I got 2 things I got to talk about today with my group today. But anyway, I want to pass along to 10x your positivity. With that, I want to say have a great day. Happy Scrumming. And take care and see you tomorrow. All right, everyone. Have fun.